Okay, so this is the 2025 Toronto Grand Prix Women's 100 meter freestyle. This is Heat 1. We are looking at lane 5, Teagen Vanderleek. Let's watch the race and then we will do an analysis. Clearly making a move there. Okay, so let's come back to the start here. Let's see what we can see with just the dive at the beginning here. Okay. So take your marks. I'm shooting at 60 frames per second. We should hopefully not have such bad video degrade. Let me come back. See what we can see fires first. General tenseness, but we do see that back foot moving forward first, or rather moving back first. So I'm liking that. Good reaction. Good extension on the back leg. Good extension on the front leg. Hands maybe could be a bit closer together on entry. Let's see that again. Yeah, I'd say they're maybe just making it or maybe just not making it. It's a little hard to tell. I'd definitely say that's not as tight as we want it to be. So getting those hands together faster. Pretty good dive entry though, very smooth. Kick, pretty good range of motion from what we've been working on, but it could be better. So this is key. Let's take this race and really do a bit of a comparison, okay, between you and lane. What is it? Is it lane 4 that's beside you, Sylvia? Because we're winning. Where and what happens that we stop winning? One thing I like to do is develop establishing strokes in the race. The first 3 strokes on any wall give us the opportunity to establish our stroke rate and our stroke form, and it preserves our speed best where we're not breathing. You breathe on the second stroke. 1 stroke, 2 strokes, taking a breath. Even though this is a very neat little breath in the sense that it is small, tight, doesn't show off to the world that you're taking a breath. It's very good. I've yet to see a breath that's truly not an obstruction to the stroke. If we could choose to not breathe, we would choose not to breathe. We've got to breathe, so we've got to do it. Breathe in every other stroke for the first 4 strokes. When does Sylvia do her first breath? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Her 12th stroke is her first breath. You've done 2 up to this point. There's your 3rd. There's your 4th. Are you going to stay head down now? So you like to seem to do a 2-breath, 2-breath? Nope. So just getting breaths kind of thrown in a little bit willy-nilly is an irresponsible term to use, because I don't think that anything you're doing is willy-nilly. But I think there can be a lot more thought put into our breath, our breathing choices, picking points in a race when we want to breathe versus when we don't want to breathe, rather than breathing just whenever we want to breathe. Because, in these 12 strokes that Sylvia is taking, that's where she's developing her initial lead over you. So you start ahead of her, you have a better dive, or you have better underwater, or you have a better breakout, maybe all three of those things. Something that she hopefully is going to work on if she wants to improve her swimming, right? So you can't assume that your advantage is always going to remain that, an advantage over any other individual. But those first 12 strokes is where she's nailing it and you're letting her nail it, okay? I doubt that she's stronger than you. I don't know how tall she is or compared to you, but you're a tall lady, so, you know, you've got the opportunity there. And I think it's coming from the breathing. You know, her kick looks a little bit more bigger than yours, so maybe working on your kick can be a thing, right? We don't necessarily ever want to also like just be going, you know, I want to be careful about doing this, but you know, you're a talented enough swimmer that I think it's something we can do. And I hope you trust me saying that I really admire you as a swimmer. We don't want to necessarily get into this business of going, well, look, her kick is bigger than your kick, so clearly your kick needs to be bigger, right? Like whatever works for you works for you, but it's potentially something that we could be using and utilizing to get a better outcome is an increased kick. There's not many opportunities where you're going to go, not many moments where you're going to go, oh, a bigger kick isn't going to help. Like a bigger kick is always going to help. If our underwater isn't our strongest suit, do we want to be staying underwater? Now look, you're doing a really admirable job here of really holding on to her. But she's starting to take off on you here. Right? She's building through the length. Let's come to full speed. This graininess is a little hard on the eyes. She's got a slightly faster stroke rate than you. Part of that is because this right arm, every time it has to come up and around, it is taking the it's taking the slower route. It's literally, even compared to your left arm. Let's look at what your left arm is doing. It's only moving, you know, in this oval shape, okay? Your right arm is having to travel, you know, the outside circumference of a semicircle. The outside circumference of a semicircle is going to be a longer curved line than a relatively straight line on your left arm. So part of your stroke rate is because of the path that your arm is taking. It's one of the reasons why I advocate against straight arm freestyle. It's inefficient at its core. Just because a lot of people can get away with doing it doesn't mean it's something that we should be actually emulating or even as a sport looking at as good technique, even though it can kind of sometimes yield strength benefits, but arguably it doesn't. But that stroke rate, regardless, is lower than hers. So she's keeping her stroke rate high. Your stroke rate is a step below hers. Your kick has really come into the fight now on the way back, but the arms aren't able to pull as much as her arms are, right? That's what stroke rate yields to us. It allows us to perform more work in a given time frame. 55 stroke rate per minute is 55 strokes in 60 seconds, right? If you only have 45 strokes in a minute, you only get to pull that much water compared to somebody, that is doing, what is that, like 25% more strokes than you, 45 to 55, whatever that ratio difference is. I don't have my watch in front of me to take stroke rate, so we're not going to get into the weeds necessarily and actually be comparing stroke rates here. You can do that on your own time watching this. It's got a lot of potential in this race. Good finish, good reach to end that. I think the breathing is the big thing. And figuring out how to establish a slightly higher stroke rate. You clearly came into that last 50 looking to hunt her down, but you're being limited by that stroke rate, I believe. But great swim overall. Nice.